So let me just give context to where we are in this discussion. I think it's 3 weeks ago today, we were able to finally publicly announce historic changes in the contracts for our supervisors, the sergeants, lieutenants, and captains. Historic in this regard. You mentioned a number of points that now are embedded in the contract. Previously, if there was an anonymous complaint, that couldn't be investigated. It is now. Previously, the levels of the Byzantine levels of the disciplinary system were so difficult and opaque. It took years, if ever, to hold police accountable. We changed that in the contract. So we will use that as a template for our fight, and it will be a fight with the FOP. The FOP contract has unfortunately been expired for some years now. We walked into that as a reality. We are finally back at the table with the FOP, and we intend to forge even more reforms as part of the contracts. I've said this before, and I believe it to be true. These contracts are not merely transactional. They have to be a place where we speak our values. And police reform and accountability has to be reflected in those contracts. We won great gains with the sergeants, lieutenants, and captains contract. The FOP knows that we're going to push for those and more in their contract. And that's why I say it's going to be a fight. But we can't continue to think that these contracts are irrelevant to the question of reform and accountability. They are not. And we intend to press the case in the FOP, and I feel confident that we will make significant progress. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not a labor lawyer, but I know enough about it to be dangerous. For way too long, we haven't tried to press for reform in these contracts. That sets a precedent. And this will go to arbitration, and the arbitrator will be looking at that to say, well, look, city, for 20 years, you've never spoken on this issue, that issue, or the other issue. You've set a precedent. But we feel confident that given the win that we got with an arbitrator in the PPBA contract, that we're going to be able to make the case in arbitration against the FOP that these changes are vital and essential. We have to have them lined up with the accountability measures that are in the consent decree. And right now the contracts are not. And we can't have those out of line. And I think you know this, but it bears repeating, and I'm sure the Attorney General will get into this. The consent decrees cannot void existing contracts. They have strong recommendations on what the path forward is and the roadmap, but there's no court that I'm aware of that has mandated change in police contracts, even in the face of a consent decree where those provisions are in conflict. That's why it's so critically important for us to push hard to get those contracts aligned with the reform agenda that we have for the police department in order for us to be able to move forward. And we intend to do just that.